Hello students, today topic is Java inheritance. So what exactly the inheritance means and how to implement the concept of inheritance in Java programming language. So today we are going to learn all these concepts using the Java programming language. The first thing is what exactly the inheritance is. So we know whenever we heard the inheritance word, we can easily say that. So we are trying to import the properties of the parent to the child. So the same concept behind the inheritance. So the same concept we are going to implement in Java now. So the basic definition of the Java inheritance is which is a mechanism of deriving a new class from an old class. So this is a universal definition for the inheritance. So we are trying to implement in the classes now. So we have two classes exactly. One is parent class and one is a child class. A parent class is also called as a base class, and the child class will call it as a derived class. The class is derived from the parent class or subclass. We can call it from a different names. So these are the three major keywords whenever we need to remember whenever we are trying to implement the inheritance concept in the Java. The first thing is derived class, parent class, and what exactly the inheritance is. So I hope you understood the basic definition of the inheritance and what exactly the parent class and what is that exactly the derived class. So we'll see the syntax of the inheritance. So we know how to define the class. So in the previous classes we have seen how to define the classes. So now how to create the inheritance in a Java programming. So for that purpose we need to use the keyword called extends. So whenever we are going to use the keyword extends, that you need to understood we are trying to inherit the properties of some other class to one class. So for here example, a class subclass name extend superclass name. Here the superclass name will call as a parent class and subclass name as a derived class. So we are trying to implement the properties from the superclass to the subclass, so using the keyword called extends. So now this is a majorly important. So whenever you are going to implement the inheritance, you need to use the keyword called extends. So that is a major thing you need to remember, and we'll see a simple example of employee and the programmer relationship. So now, so all the employees consider employees like programmers, research analysts, and system analysts. So all these categories will come under the employee category only. So employee will act as a parent class for the programmer, system analyst, and the research analyst. So the basic of all these persons is employee. So these employees will get the basic attribute called salary. So instead of writing salary for each programmer or each analyst or each researcher, so we'll create a class, a parent class of employee with the fixed salary for these particular categories, and we'll try to implement the those parent class to the subclass. So here you can see a example which is written in a Java programming. A class employee have the basic salary of 40,000. So now if we need to add any bonus to the particular employee, so instead of changing that into the employee class, so we try to create a new class called programmer, and we'll try to create a one more variable called a bonus. So now this will be added to the salary plus bonus. So now this is how you can implement the a child class using the parent class. So this is all about the basic introduction about what exactly the inheritance, how you can use the inheritance in Java, and the basic use of the extends keyword. Okay, so I hope you understood the basic concept of the inheritance. So now we'll see the type of inheritance. So first thing is single, multi-level, and hierarchical. The single, whatever we have discussed now, which is called as a single. So one parent class, one child class. If we have a one parent class and one child class, then we'll call that as single inheritance. So the next one is multi-level inheritance. If we have one parent and we have more than one child having in a children's having in a different levels. So those type of inheritance will called as multi-level inheritance. And the hierarchical inheritance, we try to incorporate the properties of the parent to the child's in the same level. So in the multi-level, the childrens are in a different levels. In the hierarchical, the childrens will be in the same level. So these are the three types of the inheritance. One is single level, multi-level, and the hierarchical. So now we'll see examples of how to implement multi-level, hierarchical, and the single level. And we have one more concept called multiple inheritance. So we'll discuss this multiple inheritance after the completion of this hierarchy. So in single inheritance, so there is a one subclass and there is a one superclass. So class B is called as derived class and class A is called as a superclass here. Example, so class animal, a base parent class here. So a basic a base class having this property called eating. So even whenever you import the properties to a child class called dog, so you import the same properties, and you'll try to add some more concept in the child classes. So for example, here you can see a animal having a eat property. So in the subclass or a derived class, we can add some more properties. So here eat is derived from the animal, and a new property bark we have written in the dog. So here we have avoided the rewriting of code of eat in the dog. We have just inherited from the base class. So that is a single inheritance concept. So the next type of inheritance is multi-level inheritance. In the single level inheritance, we have used the only two classes, that is parent class and one is a derived class. Here we use the concept called grandparent class. For example, you can see a base class and a derived class of A is B and the derived class of B is C. So we are trying to use the three classes here. So A acts as a parent for B and B acts as a parent for C, and also A acts as a grandparent for the C now. So C having the properties of A and also B. So as you can see, a simple example, a mobile is a parent class. So in the mobile, a Samsung is one of the advanced version, which having the properties of all the mobile things. So now in the next generation of the Samsung will derive the properties of the Samsung as well as the mobile and will release the Samsung S5 series. So this is the so mobile acts as a grandparent for the Samsung S5 and the Samsung acts as a parent for the Samsung S5. So this is a concept of the multi-level inheritance. We'll see a simple example having the animal acts as a parent. So now the dog derived the properties from the animal, and the baby dog derived the properties of the dog as well as the animal. So now you can write a new properties in the baby dog like weep. So the bark and the eat, which is derived from the dog as well as the animal. So now you can easily write a multi-level inheritance using a simple example like this. So for a programming purpose, you can see a simple example like animal. So I'm trying to print the eating. So extends means I'm trying to import the properties of animal to the child class of dog. So similarly, baby dog extend the properties of dog. So which in turn we are also trying to implement the concept of the animal in the baby dog also. So in the main method, you can call the baby dog. You can create an object for a baby dog D, a new baby dog. So you can call the all the attributes. Even it is from animal, a bark is from dog class, a weep is from a child class, baby dog class. So we can call all the properties using a multi-level inheritance. The next type of inheritance is hierarchical inheritance. So in the previous two classes, we have only Uh, so we have only one child which is trying to import from the parent classes. Here there are one or more childs which is having the same parent classes in the hierarchical inheritance. So here you can see a simple example. So that class A acts as a parent class, and class B is a child, and class C is also a child, and class D is also a child. So having a same parent class A. So here you can see a simple example. A class animal is a parent class here. So class dog. So one more class which is extends the properties, which inherits the properties of animals. So this is the child class now. So this is a child class, and class cat. So this is one more class which extend the properties of the animal. So the both cat as well as the dog having the same parent animal. So this is how you can implement the concept of the hierarchical inheritance. So as I have previously said, so we have one more inheritance called a multiple inheritance. Okay, so this is very important. So is Java exactly, so using Java we can exactly implement the multiple inheritance? The answer is no. You cannot implement the multiple inheritance in the Java. So that's why we have the concept called interfaces. So we cannot implement the concept of multiple inheritance. What is multiple inheritance? So for example, so in the hierarchical inheritance, we are in the hierarchical inheritance we are having the one parent, one or more different child classes. So in the multiple inheritance, we are having the one child having a two or more parents. So can we inherit the properties of two or more properties to the one child from two or more parents to the one child? No, we cannot implement the concept using the inheritance. That's why we introduced the concept called interfaces. Okay, so this is a very important for your interview questions. Even they may ask whether the Java supports multiple inheritance or not. So if we cannot support, so what is the method to solve the multiple inheritance? So to solve the multiple inheritance, we introduce the concepts called interfaces. So we'll discuss the interfaces in the next session.